Old school RuneScape is a game built on chance. And that's exactly what makes it so addictive. Every boss kill, every clue scroll, every skilling action rolls a dice behind the scenes. Sometimes that dice gives you a rune full helm, other times it drops a pet, a multi-million GP item, or something players grind thousands of hours for. From sub 1% drops like the Twisted Bow, to the elusive 3rd age gear from clue scrolls, to getting a pet on your very first skilling action, OSRS is full of moments that feel like winning the lottery. But while rare drops and insane RNG moments are part of the game's DNA, I want to talk about the rarest possible event in all of old school RuneScape. An event so statistically improbable that the first occurrence of it happened after 4 whole years of it being added to the game. Let's take a dive and look at the lowest chance event possible in OSRS, and quite possibly in the MMO genre as a whole. So, what is this lowest percentage chance that I'm talking about? Well, it's actually probably a lot less dramatic than you'd think. Way back over a decade ago, on the 24th of April 2014, an area called the Motherlode Mine, or otherwise known as MLM, was added to OSRS. This was a mining training area allowing you to mine ores that yield pay dirt, which can then be washed by depositing them into the hopper at the water circuit. The washed pay dirt can give a variety of ores that range from coal to runite, depending on your mining level at the time of mining, not at the time of washing. Another drop that isn't an ore but valuable regardless are golden nuggets. Unlike the other ores that you can get, which chances change in respect to your level, golden nuggets state a consistent 2.47% chance of dropping per pay dirt at any level. These golden nuggets can then be used as currency at Prospector Percy's nugget shop inside the Motherlode Mine. It wasn't until 2 years later, on April 21st, 2016, that Jagex added what would be the rarest drop in all of OSRS. And of course, I wouldn't have mentioned it if it wasn't, it was added to Motherlode Mines. At a price of 40 nuggets, you can purchase a bag full of gems. As the name suggests, the bag full of gems contains, well, a full bag of gems. 40 gems, to be exact. And it can contain some pretty rare stuff. According to the OSRS wiki, each gem has a 1 in 2.004 chance of being an uncut sapphire, a 1 in 2.891 chance of being an uncut emerald, a 1 in 8.319 chance of being an uncut ruby, a 1 in 33.44 chance of being an uncut diamond, a 1 in 200 chance of being an uncut dragonstone, and a 1 in a whopping 100 million chance of being an uncut onyx. Converting this to percentages, that's a 0.000001% chance of hitting this item as any gem in the bag. Consider this. OSRS requires 200 million experience points to level any one skill to its max level. Let's take mining for an example. One piece of pay dirt pays about 70 XP. 200 million divided by 7 nets us 2,857,142 pay dirt. Each pay dirt has a 2.47 chance of becoming a golden nugget, resulting in a total of 70,571 nuggets by the end of washing. Since the bag requires 40 nuggets and gives 40 gems, 1 nugget essentially equals to 1 gem, which has a 1 in 100 million chance of being an uncut onyx. To calculate the chance of not getting an onyx from this batch of nuggets, we can multiply the chance of not getting the onyx by itself 70,571 times, which is just 99,999,999 out of 100 million to the power of 70,571. This nets us a 99.9295 chance of not getting an onyx from your 200 million XP grind. Let's stay on this topic for a little longer and compare this chance to some other commonly known rare events. In 2023, the US Weather Service places a person's odds of being struck by lightning in a given year at 1 in 1.222 million people, or in other words, 0.00008%. You are about 82 times more likely to be struck by lightning in a given year than to unbox this item. Let's take a look at another example, becoming an astronaut. In 2016, out of the 18,300 people who applied to NASA, only 10 of them made the cut, or 10 out of 18,300. That roughs out to about 0.05%, meaning that this drop is 50,000 times less likely than being accepted in NASA, provided that you applied in the first place. And let's do one final example just to really emphasize how rare this is. The likelihood of dying by a shark attack, according to an article by Florida Museum in 2022, is 1 in 4.33 million, or about a 0.00002% chance. Again, this drop trumps this by a factor of 20. Okay, I've yapped enough about how insane of a chance this is, but this is only looking at the chance of each gem being an Onyx. And remember, there's 40 gems in each bag, so the chances of obtaining this gem from the bag is actually quite a bit higher. Accounting for every gem in the bag nets us a 1 in 2.5 million chance. Still an absolutely insanely low chance, but much higher than the previous 1 in 100 million. But what is an Onyx? Surely if it's so rare, then it has to be a god level item, right? Well, not really. An uncut Onyx is the second rarest gem in OSRS behind Zenyte. You can use a chisel to cut it at level 67 crafting, which makes a cut Onyx, used to make very powerful jewelry, or combined with a Zenyte shard to make an uncut Zenyte. Apart from getting it as a drop from the gem bag, there are some other ways you can obtain an Onyx. The first is as a boss drop. There are 3 bosses in OSRS which have a chance of dropping the Onyx once defeated: Zulrah, Skatizo, and Zalcano. And I mean, the chances of rolling an Onyx by these bosses is still extremely low, but it is a hell of a lot higher than by a gem bag. Another way of getting an Onyx is from the rewards chest upon completing wave 12 of the Fortis Colosseum minigame. This method nets you a 1 in 43.64 chance of getting the item. Not too bad, except for the fact that this minigame is extremely difficult in the first place. There's 2 chests in OSRS which can drop an uncut Onyx, the Moon chest and the Elven Crystal chest, both of which require different keys with different ways to get the keys. These take a decent amount of time to craft because the drop rate for the key components, either through bossing or skilling, can be very low. And the last way is to steal the Onyx from the gem shop counter in More Oak Rec. This method nets you a 1 in 75,000 chance of rolling an uncut Onyx, and a 1 in 150,000 chance of rolling an already cut Onyx. You get the point. There's a lot of other ways to get this item apart from the gem bag. It's certainly a nice item, but 1 in 2.5 million nice? Not really. If you compare this with another rare drop, Third Age equipment, it pales in comparison when looking at the price. I mean, we're talking about 2.3 million GP to hundreds of millions, sometimes even billions here. But regardless, it's not about the reward that makes it notable, but rather the pure chance of it happening in the first place. The first Onyx to be opened in this way happened 4 years after the initial release of the gem bag by a player that goes by the name of Uni on the 15th of June 2020. It was such a commemorable event that Jagex themselves congratulated Uni on OSRS's official Twitter account. Only 3 days later after this event, on June 18th 2020, Jagex added the full bag of gems to another shop, the Mining Guild Mineral Exchange. This was a shop that had been around since June 22nd 2017, but had only been selling mining gloves and superior mining gloves prior to this edition. This shop uses unidentified minerals as currency, which is obtained through mining rocks in the members area of the Mining Guild. Depending on the rock mined, the chances of getting an unidentified mineral differs from 1 in 100 from iron rocks to 1 in 20 from runite rocks and amethyst crystals. It takes 20 unidentified minerals to trade in for a gem bag, which has the exact same percentages as the one from MLM. Less than a year after this edition came another one that would end up being by far the most popular method of opening gem bags: star mining. Star mining was added on the 17th of March 2021, which allowed you to mine and obtain stardust during the shooting star activity. This stardust can be used as currency at Desori's Star Shop, and you guessed it, this shop sold the bag full of gems. For 300 stardust, you can have yet another way of getting this item. At this point, a player and content creator called ImplingOnly started a series where she took on a journey to become the second player to ever open an Onyx. This got some traction and is all documented in a StarMiner series where she goes from level 1 mining all the way to level 99, purely through star mining. I'll leave the link to the first part in the description. Between the opening of the first Onyx and the second, there were a lot of updates, and a big one took place on September 20th, 2023. See, star mining on release, and for the last 2 years, hasn't been very popular, because shooting stars were deployed at a faster rate when more people were mining them. This update removed that, which allowed players to mine without worrying about other players interfering. This one change alone made star mining far more popular than before, and as a byproduct, made it the most popular way for players who were going for this rare Onyx drop to obtain gem bags. It took less than a year after this update for a second player to unbox another Onyx on January 8th, 2024. This player went by the name of Cody and was again officially confirmed by Mod Ash to be real on Twitter. From this point on, we can't exactly tell how many people have gotten this drop. Star mining becoming a very popular activity meant that a lot more people were opening gem bags than before. Some people don't post about it at all, and Jagex also doesn't tweet about it anymore, nor give out answers to people who ask. Due to the popularity of the activity, however, we can safely assume that there have been a few more players who've gotten it since. Common speculations are within the low single digit to low double digit range, but we'll never really know. OSRS is a game full of RNG. Whether it be for a very valuable item or not, it's always exciting to see players fight against the odds and roll for that slim chance of victory. The sentiment has never been in the reward, but the rarity of these occurrences. The bag full of gems is the perfect example of that. On paper, it's just a 300 Stardust curiosity that gives you some random gems. But in the context of the player base, it's the source of the rarest drop in the game. The vast majority of us will never see that chat box pop up. Try as we might for thousands or even tens of thousands of hours. But somewhere out there, in a mine or under a falling star, someone will roll that impossible 1 in 2.5 million chance, and in a single second would have changed the game's history. I hope this video was entertaining, and thanks for watching.